Hey guys, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, home of all things stock, investment, and personal finance related. Now for today's video, I'm going to be providing an update on the top 2 penny stocks I'm currently adding to and buying the dip in my personal portfolio. These are both in the crypto mining space. The first one is Hut 8 Mining, the second is Bitfarms Ltd. We talk about these companies extensively on the channel, and I've now amassed positions totaling about $19,000 between these two companies. So I'm going to walk you through my bullish thesis and show you each and every trade I've made in terms of options and shares on each of these companies. Now before we get into it, please take a second, hit the like button, you guys. It's a huge help to myself and the channel. If you're not already subscribed, McNallie Money, feel free to do so. And let me know in the comment section below what you think about these two companies, my bullish thesis, and if you're currently holding shares of either one of them. Now with that being said, let's get into today's video. Okay guys, so that's right. Today's video, we're going to be providing an update on my 2 favorite stocks in the market right now, none other than Hut 8 Mining and Bitfarms Ltd. Now, I've pretty much been talking about one of these two companies on a weekly basis over the last couple of months, and it's because I've been aggressively adding to both of these positions in my personal portfolios. So I'm actually going to do a breakdown at the end of today's video showing you guys exactly what I hold in each company in terms of option contracts and shares. Now, before we get into all that and start talking about the chart, I wanted to quickly jump over to iTrustCapital. Because this is a cryptocurrency or Bitcoin focused video, I definitely think this one is worth a look for those of you who reside in the United States. This platform really allows you to hold and invest in a variety of different cryptocurrencies through your Roth or Roth IRA account. So those are tax sheltered or tax benefiting accounts in the United States, very similar to a TFSA or an RSP here in Canada. And again, if you're bullish on crypto long term like I am, this is definitely a very lucrative or attractive way to hold cryptocurrency, as you're really going to avoid some of those hefty tax implications if our bullish thesis holds true. So as you can see here, you have 24/7 access over 25 different cryptocurrencies. You can actually hold traditional gold and silver in these accounts as well. There's no monthly fee. Again, it works on your traditional IRA, Roth IRA, or SEP account. You only need $1,000 to open up an account, and if you use the affiliate link in the video description below, you actually get a $100 sign up bonus or a $100 referral bonus. So definitely take a look. Again, the link is in the video description below, and this is something I would highly encourage you guys to do if you live in the United States. Now, shifting back into today's presentation, I wanted to take a quick look at the chart for both Hut 8 Mining and Bitfarms Ltd. As you can see, it's been a dismal couple months here, you guys. Hut 8 Mining was actually trading above $20 back in the middle of November, and since then it's pretty much been a downward ride. Now you can see yesterday was no different, so this is as of close on April 26. Hut 8 lost 8.5% per share, about 42 cents on the session, to close out below $5. So this is a Canadian listing, HUT, on the Toronto Stock Exchange, closed out April 26 at $4.56. So you can bet I was doing some buying yesterday, which we're going to talk about again later in the presentation. Now, in terms of Bitfarms Ltd, very similar story here, you guys. So they were down about 5% or 4.8% on yesterday's session, held up a little bit better than Hut 8 Mining, which was interesting, down 18 cents per share to close out just below $3.60. Again, ticker symbol on this one, BITF on the Toronto Stock Exchange. And this is another one I've been actively adding to in my personal accounts. Now, what's interesting here is the market cap on these two companies has almost fallen into line with one another. So they're both sitting right around the $760 to $800 million market cap in terms of Canadian dollars. And why that's interesting is because Hut 8 Mining definitely had an advantage a couple of months ago. They do have a much larger Bitcoin reserve, but the problem with that is as the Bitcoin price continues to drop, the value of the reserve also drops. And in the meantime, Bitfarms Ltd has actually increased their hash rate, and they're now producing more Bitcoin per month than Hut 8 Mining. So very interesting dynamic between these two companies, and that's exactly why I've bet on both horses in this race. One of them has a bigger Bitcoin reserve, so if the price of Bitcoin jumps up, that intrinsic value is obviously going to move up exponentially. The other one, Bitfarms Ltd, has a higher hash rate or computing potential, meaning they're gradually going to catch up in terms of their Bitcoin reserve. Plus, you're bringing in more monthly revenue or more monthly Bitcoin each and every month. And the other thing I wanted to note here, it's going to be interesting. I've had a couple of questions in the comment section on these videos. What happens when all the Bitcoin is mined? We just actually crossed the 19 millionth Bitcoin being mined out of a total of 21 million. Now keep in mind, this is not a linear process here, you guys. There's something called Bitcoin halving events. The last one was in 2020. The next one is expected to be the first week of March in 2024. And that's actually when the amount of Bitcoin that's paid out to these miners is actually cut in half. And essentially, simply put, this halving event is the process of halving the rewards of mining Bitcoin after each set of 210,000 blocks is mined. By reducing the reward of mining Bitcoin as more blocks are mined, a Bitcoin halving limits the supply of new coins, so prices could rise if demand remains strong. And that halving process is actually what's going to extend the mining activity out to the year 2140. So me personally, I'm not worried about running out of Bitcoin to mine, but it will be interesting to see in March of 2024 what happens to the price of Bitcoin as we start to go into this halving event. And you'll notice when we start to talk about my option contracts, the majority of them are actually dated for January of 2024, so just a couple of months before that event takes place. Now with that being said, the other pieces of news that I've been watching in terms of the overall crypto or Bitcoin environment is really in relation to some legislation we're starting to see from countries and jurisdictions around the world. So this one actually came out April 25th, so very recently, just a couple of days ago, and it talks about the Central African Republic becoming the first country in Africa to make Bitcoin legal tender. So this is now the second country after El Salvador to actually adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. And you can see some of the highlights here. The Central African Republic has voted on a bill that accepts Bitcoin as a currency. The bill will also provide a regulatory framework for crypto. So we're starting to see regulation and approval go hand in hand here across the world. The country joins El Salvador, making Bitcoin legal tender, and it will be interesting to see how the development pans out. And we're actually going to get a progress update on El Salvador in 2 slides here, talking about how the rollout has actually gone. Now, if you continue to scroll down, you can see a cool little graphic here. They've now voted to make Bitcoin legal tender. And again, this is the first country in Africa to do so. And the Central African Republic is actually looking at Bitcoin to help boost their economy, which is currently struggling, and really generate some interest or technological interest to help digitize their economy. Now, in addition to actual Bitcoin, there's other benefits the government is expected to see here. So advantages to boost the economy include smart contracts, which can be worked into multiple use cases that could really speed up and lower the cost of some fundamental government processes. And the other thing that's exciting about this is as countries start to adopt crypto and Bitcoin, other countries around the world are going to want to keep up pace. You obviously don't want your country playing catch up in terms of digital asset adoption. Now, that being said, you may not want to be the first mover, and that's why I think we're not starting to see some of the larger, more established countries jump into the game quite yet. They want to let these smaller countries really test or trial this process out, and that's exactly what it says here. Other countries are going to be looking to El Salvador and the Central African Republic for information on these experiments and how they're really panning out in the real world environment. Now, speaking of larger, more well-established countries, the United States here is also starting to see some digital adoption. So Colorado just stated here March 2nd, they're going to start accepting cryptocurrency for tax payments. Now, this is going to take effect this summer, and Governor Jared Polis said driver's licenses, hunting licenses, other state fees will also begin accepting crypto as a valid form of payment. So there's now 17 states in the US that have enacted some sort of legislation or adopted resolution related to cryptocurrency. So very similar to the cannabis space, we're starting to see state governments actually take on legislation rather than waiting for federal legislation or the federal government to act. And this is actually a super interesting development. We've also seen the mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, recently announced he was going to convert his first paycheck into Bitcoin and Ethereum on the Coinbase platform. And the use of crypto in the United States has now prompted the FBI to form a new team. They actually hired their first director of national cryptocurrency enforcement. And this is really starting to become a much more mainstream theme. Crypto is now moving from the fringes of society to center stage. And I think we're going to start to see a lot more legislation over the next couple of years. Now, with that being said, in terms of how things are actually working out for El Salvador, it seems like the Bitcoin rollout at this point in time has been a bit of a flop. The majority of companies operating in the country say they still rely on traditional fiat currency or US dollars. And the vast majority of respondents to this Bloomberg study, or actual citizens in El Salvador, say they don't trust Bitcoin or the digital wallet platform. And as we continue to scroll down, this one is from April 26, so very recently, just yesterday. Only 20% of respondents in El Salvador continue using their Chivo wallet after downloading it and spending that initial $30 sign-up bonus. Most of these Chivo downloads actually occurred in September of last year. That's when the government implemented or legalized Bitcoin, and since then we've seen virtually no downloads in 2022. So adoption rates have fallen off a cliff, which obviously isn't a great sign for Bitcoin adoption in El Salvador. Now, in terms of actual payment volume, the El Salvador Central Bank said only 1.6% of remittance were sent through digital wallets in 2022. Among companies, 20% reported accepting Bitcoin as a form of payment, and most of them are large firms. And keep in mind, companies in El Salvador are mandated to accept Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. So most of them are actually going against that mandate. On average, only 5% of sales were in Bitcoin, and most transactions are converted to traditional fiat currency or dollars. Now keep in mind, this is a survey of only 1,800 adult individuals throughout El Salvador, but definitely does not paint a very bullish picture for the crypto rollout strategy in this country specifically. So the point I'm trying to make here, you guys, countries and jurisdictions around the world are definitely interested in cryptocurrency. They want to adopt this kind of digital asset platform within their jurisdiction. But in terms of actually doing that and putting the idea into practice, we're still struggling to find that perfect solution, which honestly is not that surprising, as this is a major paradigm shift and really requires the majority of the country's population to relearn how they think about money. Now, with all that being said, I'm not scared off by the fact that we've had some growing pains in El Salvador. I think a transition of this size is going to take time, and I think more and more countries and jurisdictions are going to pile onto the bandwagon because they've got that fear of missing out, and they don't want their country to be one of the last players into this game. So I think Bitcoin adoption and cryptocurrency adoption is going to continue to grow, continue to become more mainstream, and as a result, companies like Hut 8 Mining and Bitfarms that are heavily involved in the crypto mining process and have large Bitcoin reserves are going to benefit very well as the price of crypto continues to climb and hopefully recovers from some of this volatility we've seen over the last couple of months, especially moving into that halving event in 2024. So with that being said, I wanted to share with you guys my full portfolio in terms of Hut 8 and Bitfarms options and shares, and this is exactly what you can see on the screen here. So this is a tracker I've built in Google Sheets, and you can see each one of my different purchases in terms of options up top with a summary chart at the bottom here. So on the left, you can see the buy date, the trade, or actually the strike price of these option contracts, the strategy. So these are all long call options, meaning I'm bullish on the price of these companies and I expect it to go up over the next couple of years. The ticker symbols, so a mix of Hut 8 and Bitfarms, and most importantly, the expiration date, which you can see a mix of January 2024 and January 2023. Now, the important thing here, you guys, is I've given myself a ton of time. January contracts or January expiration dates are actually the longest dated options you can buy at this point in time. So in most cases, I've got anywhere from 300 to 600 days remaining on these contracts. The delta, so I really try and buy my options around a 0.8 delta, which we've talked about in some of my other videos. The buy price, the quantity, and then the book value. So if we take a summary of everything above here, you can see in total I've got 3 contracts that expire in January of 2023. All of them are on HUD 8. Now the benefit here is these are a little bit cheaper to purchase, but you don't have as much time value and you have less time for the price of Bitcoin and correspondingly the price of HUD 8 mining to actually increase. You can see as a result, the majority of my option contracts are focused around January 2024 expiration. I've got 16 contracts on HUD 8 mining, 9 on Bitfarms Ltd for a total of 25 contracts dated for January of 2024. And if you look at both years combined, I've actually got a total of 28 option contracts between these two companies. So definitely my biggest option position or strategy in my portfolio right now. In terms of book value, keep in mind these are all on the NASDAQ. So this is US dollars, $5,500 in HUD 8 call options and $2,700 in Bitfarm Limited contracts for a total of about $8,300 US in option contracts on these two companies. Now, in addition to that, I'm holding shares or traditional shares of both companies as well. So I've got 600 shares of HUD 8 at an average cost of $11.61. This has really been hurt because I picked up shares right around those all-time highs at about $18, which brought my average cost up. Since then, I've actually been averaging down and adding shares around the $5, $6 range. So that's $7,000 in shares of HUD 8 mining. And Bitfarms Limited, I've got 380 shares at an average cost of $5. So a much better cost basis here for a total of about $2,000. So in total, just under $9,000 in shares, about $8,300 US in options. So a combined total in terms of Canadian dollars in the neighborhood of about $19,000. So this is by far my biggest strategy or group of positions in my portfolio right now. I'm super excited about Bitcoin prices over the next couple of years. Hopefully we start to see that recovery in the back half of 2022, if not in the first half of 2023. But if my bullish thesis holds true here, you guys, and we start to see these companies return to the all-time highs we saw back in November, around the $15, $20 price point, these option contracts could be in store for some huge returns and really make this one of the most profitable trade strategies I've done to date in my personal account. So with that being said, you guys, I'd be super interested to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. If you're holding these companies, what you think on crypto and Bitcoin prices over the next couple of years, and what you think about this portfolio strategy. If you're still watching at this point, make sure you hit the like button, you guys. It's a huge help to myself and the channel. And if you're not currently subscribed, McNallie Money, feel free to do so. I personally respond to each and every comment. This is a great way to get a hold of me, and I'd love to hear from you. With that being said, that's all for now, and have a great rest of your day.